You all can tell I'm so excited today. I have an honored guest, and it's really my great nephew. And I'm telling you, it was such a shocking surprise that he would come down to visit his Uncle Bobby. But let me tell you a little bit, and I'm going to introduce him, and then I'm going to introduce him, and I'm going to give him the platform because I think he has a testimony, and I just want him to say it because we're actually entering into a new America. And we've got to hear new minds, we got to hear new understanding, but the focus is going to be the family. And I tell everybody that what you see, there's three things that I do know. I know God, I know golf, and I know military. So I really begin to realize in God, I know family, and his family really helped me understand family. And I just want to send a shout out to David, Yolanda, Phil, and Michelle for accepting me in the family as family. And they watched it. And for me to have him here after seeing him grow up, and I really saw what a family was like when I saw the Merritt family. So Devin, I got you here today. And I told you in the beginning that I just wanted you to come and I wanted to introduce you. And you can say whatever you want to say, the way you want to say it. You can talk about family. You can talk about sports. I want you to talk to us about this new America. What do you see?
So thank you so much for letting me be here today. It's a blessing to be here. And my goodness gracious, it's funny how God works. It is funny how God works. On a little vacation from football.
Okay.
And, I had to go to Charlotte, flew into Charlotte to stay with James,
Okay.
James,
So you staying with James? I ain't
yeah,
seen him in a minute.
stay with James. And we went to play a little golf out there. And while we out on the golf course, he talking about, oh, so you're going to Raleigh, you're going to see a lot of your uncles and aunts, this and that. And he mentioned Uncle Bobby. And wow, I was like, you know what, James, shame on me for not saying I'm going to go see my Uncle Bobby. I'm going to make a trip. So to God be the glory for him mentioning that.
And you'll drive 2 hours to see your Uncle Bobby.
Yes, for sure.
Man,
Without a doubt.
That's precious. That's precious.
Yes, sir.
Talk to us about yourself.
Yeah, so, man.
What you been doing? I mean, let me be quiet.
I got you. Well, God has been using me for sure. I'm going to give him all the glory because I was bagging groceries just a few months ago.
Okay.
Not that, there's anything wrong with that. And, I was fired from a job, but I'll go ahead to kind of beginning of everything, if that's okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Kind of growing up, and I was born in Lexington, Virginia, and via my father was coaching at the Virginia Military Institute, and I have no memory of Virginia, but from there we moved up to New York, actually where I'm working right now on Long Island.
Okay.
So he was coaching with the New York Jets at the time, and I do have some memory of living up in Long Island, but New Jersey is what I call home.
Okay.
So he actually got a job with the New York Giants in 2004. So it's crazy. If you don't mind me, I'm a kind of backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Too.
Okay.
My parents are from North Carolina. As you know, my dad's from Raleigh. My mother's from Charlotte. She's from Salisbury. They met at NC State. So my dad was on the football team. My mama was a Delta, plays in Delta. My roommate had plays Delta, the sorority and the D9. So that's how they met at NC State. They got married and had all of us. And, from there, North Carolina's always home. So even though I grew up in Jersey, North Carolina's always home. But
Jersey, so where do you plan to make home? Oh, you don't know yet?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I love North Carolina, though.
Oh,
I heard something the other day about Disney's coming to North Carolina. Did anybody hear about that?
No telling.
Yeah. Apparently, Disney is coming to North Carolina.
Wow.
I was like, okay, well, I don't know about staying up north anymore. I think I might need to stay in North Carolina. So apparently in Asheboro, they're trying to bring Disney, so that'll be interesting. That'll bring a lot of people to North Carolina.
Good.
But Jersey was different. I grew up in an Italian town called Nutley, New Jersey. So I don't know if you've all watched The Sopranos, but it's a TV show about the mafia up in New York, New Jersey area. So Nutley is a small town where a lot of the mafia's grandchildren they ended up moving to Nutley, and they had like 10 pizzerias on one street. So I was one of the oddballs out in that town for sure. Grew up different than everybody else. So that was interesting growing up there. Had a great time though. Learned a lot, and it was very interesting. That's all I have to say. Thankfully, I had a great influence with God at those schools. I'll never forget. I had a coach. His name was Coach Vic. He had a FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and I would always go to FCA, and I was always active in sports, whether it was basketball, football, soccer, baseball. Wasn't good. But I played. I stayed active. But Nutley was, it was an interesting chapter in the book. I don't have a whole lot of friends from Nutley, but I have a few, family members. I'll say from Nutley. I have a best friend called Devin White. He's an engineer out in California. So he's it's funny. We were the two black kids on the football team. So you've seen that side of life. Yes, I've seen that side of life. It was very interesting, but learned a lot at an early age, which is good. I then went to a college called Averett University. It's a school in Danville, Virginia. That's interesting. Surrounded by Confederate flags. So once you go into the town, you see a Confederate flag. Once you go to get something to eat in the middle of the town, you see Confederate flags. And as soon as you leave, you see Confederate flags. So did that help shape your growing up or help shape your perspective of America? Oh, it definitely did. And I say it did because I'll be real, Uncle Bobby. I was a rebel in high school. I was Black Panther, Black Pride, and Black is beautiful. I was all which is not wrong, but I was very militant. Malcolm X and I can understand. Thurgood Marshall and W.B. Du Bois, all of them, they were people I looked up to. Man, so I'm hearing you say that. Then what I have actually developed in the science biotechnologics and what I do, because my experience was this, that I wanted to find out how did slavery come into being, and I really wanted to write my first book about slavery. Oh wow! But the Lord wouldn't let me do it. I had to write Transitional Reality first. Because my book, Transitional Reality, it actually changed me. And that was God's idea before he would show me what slavery was all about. Oh my. So I've written all of that. That was my second book. So coming up out of where you went to college and seeing what was there, then you recognize some of the things that's happening even now. Yes, without a doubt. How did it affect you? Well, it woke my eyes up to a lot of stuff. And Christ helped you? Sure did. Sure did. And with Averett, just recruiting wise, why would I go to a school with Confederate flags everywhere? Why would I do such a thing? But there was a head coach. His name was Cleve Adams, and great man of God. Great man of God. His slogan was BAM, and he always said iron sharpens iron. BAM was be a man. Be a man. But iron sharpens iron. He used to always tell us iron sharpens iron. He was in the Word of God a lot for us, and he latched me on to go to Avery University for sure. So, he was a black head coach, black defensive coordinator, and a black offensive coordinator. So that helped me out a whole lot.
Good.
But Avery was an interesting experience.
Okay.
I kind of drifted away from the Lord.
Okay.
I say kinda, no, I did.
Yeah. Well, I think that's most of us. You know, we make promises about what we're going to do if God do this, and we get away. But God has this way of causing you to be introduced, and in some ways, it's not only He introduced you to Him as a relationship, but it also protects you from getting stuck in religious circles.
Yes.
Because one of the things that people realize, and I realized that that I was baptized in liquid love when I first met the Lord, and it was really in your grandfather's church.
Wow.
So that's sort of my journey. But once you got college, and then where do you go from there?
Well, from there, living a lukewarm life. I was in a lot of different clubs and organizations, which was great.
Okay.
I didn't understand it because I got hurt my freshman year in football. I was in SGA, I was a RA, a resident assistant on campus, Black Student Union, and a whole lot of different clubs. So I was attracted to kind of, being around people, a lot of different types of people, not just football players. So that, told me a lot, but I then was, I was fortunate enough to bring Kappa Alpha Psi to the campus.
Okay.
It was one of the first Black fraternities that Avery University ever saw. But again, I was saying I'm this Christian, this and that, and serving the Lord, this and that, but I was doing a lot of things completely opposite.
Okay.
I'm not proud of them at all, but God is good because He then led me to get my master's at Appalachian State after that when I graduated.
Appalachian State?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Appalachian State. And
that's a pretty prestigious university.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yes, sir. He blessed me with an opportunity to be a graduate assistant up there, and I was fortunate enough, Uncle Bobby, to get a free master's and work for the football team. But, at Avery, it was not easy, but I was able to I was really successful at Avery.
Good.
At Appalachian State, God humbled me. Humble me in the best way possible. There's a coach, and his name is Jerry Moore. He was a longtime head coach with Appalachian State. Great man of God. Provide all his players the book of Proverbs and Psalms every season. Actually was fortunate enough to go recruiting once and was meeting a lot of his former players. And that's the first thing they brought up. They didn't bring anything up about football. It was straight about what he told them about the Lord. So Appalachian State was a great place for me to get closer to God.
Okay.
I went up there to coach Uncle Bobby, but ended up being removed from coaching up there. They actually, transitioned me to recruiting.
Okay.
So they had me recruiting and to deal with operations on campus. And I was upset, God, why are you doing this and that? I'm about to get out of coaching, calling up, my mom and dad and all these family members. What am I doing? It isn't my purpose. I felt left out. So that's where I actually met my girlfriend, Giselle, at Appalachian State.
Okay.
But God is, like I said in the beginning, he's funny. He's very intentional about everything he does. Because as soon as I graduated at Appalachian State, there's a school called Barton College in Wilson, North Carolina. My defensive coordinator at Avert, where I went as an undergrad, he actually hired me to be his linebacker coach, his outside linebacker coach.
Okay.
So I was thinking the world's coming to an end. I'm in recruiting something I don't want to be in. God said, wait, be patient. I was able to kind of be a part of Bible studies and, work around, the campus in different ways and meet a whole lot of different people. And something I was doing at Avery, meeting a whole lot of different people. Well, I get to Bart, and then, God, he did something huge again.
Okay.
This is in Wilson. I didn't know anything about the area. This is my first full-time job. It's crazy, Uncle Bobby. They had Bible studies already. but I was able to start a Bible study there. I
Mm.
was able to help start a Bible study because I wanted the players to have their own player-led Bible study.
Okay.
They had, they had been doing a little bit of it on campus.
Mhm.
I was like, guys, let's come down here to the facility and let's go ahead and just talk about the Word of God. And a lot of them would lead sermons, and we would kind of break bread and talk about the Word, and that was a big part of my time at Barton. But again, with lukewarmness, crazy. As soon as I got there, they knew I was a Kappa. They knew I was a member of Kappa outside.
Mm-hmm.
All these players, all the football players, they were asking me, "Hey man, can you bring Kappa here? Can you bring Omega Psi Phi here? Can you bring, the Deltas, the AKAs, this and that?" I was like, man, I'm trying to focus on football. I'm trying to focus on coaching. I'm trying to focus on, these Bible studies, all this and that. But, something, my own understanding got in the way of God's way. Proverbs 3, 5-7 talks about, trusting the Lord with all thine heart and don't lean to your own understanding. Because wow, did I ended up wanting to, pledge these guys for Kappa players. I was like a Bobby, I kid you not. Pledged these young men. I had been a dean prior at Averett University, and it's crazy, but I ended up getting fired from Barton for it. One of the students' girlfriends, I should say, she actually went to the college and said that I was hazing those young men. So, it's funny. It wasn't even football related. Right. I'm up here doing Bible studies, this and that. But it's amazing how that works.
So what did you perceive that was happening with you, and what direction was it sort of pointing you to that you thought?
I thought jail was where I was headed to.
Oh.
I thought I was.
So you had a deliverance kind of thing. In other words, it led you to a place that you knew you had to do something different.
Yes.
So talk to me about I don't know. Talk to me about your mother and dad and how they were influential in you. I know they were influential in you turning back.
Yes.
And I know your grandfather Phil, I know he was influential. How did that happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I always go to them for counsel.
Okay.
For sure.
And now you got Uncle Bobby.
Now I have Uncle Bobby, without a doubt. To God be the glory, for sure. It's amazing. I wish I was going to you at that time as well.
Well, timing is always right.
Right. You are.
Timing is always right.
That is true. That is true. As far as, their counsel, they were telling me not to do a lot of the things that I chose to do.
Quite naturally.
Being disobedient, and whenever that, the bad things happen, they just told me to trust in the process. And trust in, the Lord's plan. They didn't want me to give up. Thankfully, they just uplifted me in the Word.
Okay.
So that was really influential for me because I was working at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
I was working at Target, Walmart, and Food Line. So from coaching and I'm about to be this big coach, this and that, God, said, go ahead. So sit down and listen to me.
So what we're going to do, we're going to help you have another direction if you desire it. Yeah. That's why I'm talking about Kingdom Golf. When did you get interested in golf?
Oh my goodness. Golf is something that's back in elementary school. Actually.
Really?
Loved golf. So growing up playing video games, I love video games.
And your dad loved golf because one of the things that I realized with your dad is that whenever football season is, he don't bother golf.
Right.
And whenever football season is over, he don't want to hear football.
Correct. The sport switch.
I learned that. I learned that, and that was matter of fact, that was beneficial to me because to see somebody that disciplined. I mean, football, I'm all football. Once football season's over, hang them up, got my golf clubs. Don't talk to me about football while I got my golf clubs.
Don't even have it on the TV.
and that showed me how disciplined someone in sports had to be.
Yes.
If you're going to be excellent.
Yes.
It also showed me that when I watched him play golf, it was like he was so disciplined in it. And I watched him. And what I watched is that he would walk into the clubhouse and just say, "Hey guys," and it would just demand attention. Mm. And I said, there's something in him that he probably don't even realize.
Right.
that it's just an aura about him. And I see that same aura in you. And I saw whenever I would go play golf that you would always be ready to go when they got ready to play golf.
Right.
So that's what caused me to write this book. Because in this book, I saw that it was something that was a character evaluation. And what I saw in it was your dad. I actually saw him walk out what was in this in this book. So one of the things that happened was that I developed the twosome, and the twosome was so that you could actually build a relationship on the golf course. Mm-hmm. And I also studied that in building that, I found out that doing that, it will cause you to be able to meet somebody that you never met before, and relate to somebody in such a way that you would never related before. That's right. So in doing that, what is your focus now? As far as what are you doing now? Coaching?
Yes.
You've been asked to coach where?
Up in Long Island University.
Okay.
So God gave me an opportunity to go up there to New York City, and
what's gonna be your focus?
Character building within players. And I'm like, well,
see, somehow go ahead.
The thing is, God has given me a really awesome opportunity up there. Wow. Because it's not about just coaching football. Now, I talked to you about Barton with those Bible studies.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you all know who Donnie McClurkin is.
Yes.
The singer, the gospel singer. He's a pastor up there in Long Island.
Okay.
He has his own church, Perfecting Faith Church up there. And that's the church that I go to up there.
Do you?
I do. And when I told some of the players, they were all intrigued and they wanted to go out there.
Wow.
So I've been bringing a lot of them out to Donnie McClurkin.
Ain't that something? And that's one of her favorite singers.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, y'all need to come up there.
You better know it.
For sure.
You better know it.
He's up there preaching right now, and it's coaching football, but it's interesting because not only is it coaching, but when I was upset with God at Appalachian State putting me in recruiting, now they've made me the recruiting coordinator at Long Island University. So God has now exalted me. So to God be the glory. But it's interesting. I went up there for $900 a month at first.
Okay. So I think that that in the climate of the new America, I believe that in the climate of the new America, there has to be new approaches to how we relate to people.
Yes.
Because people are not so excited about going to the building as they used to.
Right.
But they're going to have to realize now a relationship with God is a lifestyle.
It is.
And so doing it as a lifestyle, you can do it with more ease and not necessarily have to compromise what you do in your expertise.
That's right.
That's why I say God in golf and military, because really God has me be able to relate to people, and golf helps me have pleasure while I have a relationship, and the military is my expertise. That's all I know.
Right.
So if you had to develop that, what is it all you know? God, sports, and whatever you do. So in the lifestyle. And so when you look at that, then you said something about character development.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at what I presented here, I believe it's going to help you be able to do that.
Without a doubt.
Talk to me a little bit more about what's your focus going forward.
Without a doubt. So, the focus going forward really is, of course, we all want to, work your way up within the business of football. But it's something about seeing a young person grow as far as how he's treating people every day.
Okay.
In football, you see a whole lot. You're talking about golf, right?
Okay.
In football, you have kids from a whole lot of different backgrounds, as we all know.
So where's you really love football? That's if that's what you know. I don't know a whole lot about football. Matter of fact, I wasn't even into football until I found out about your dad.
Yes.
And so that's when I started tracking that. I didn't even know anything about golf till I got it from your dad.
Wow.
So football and golf I got from your house.
Look at that.
Tell me what's it like to live in a house that just loves football.
It's hectic all year round.
Huh?
It is hectic all year round. Football. Talking loud crowds and just a lot of pressure. Who won this weekend? Who didn't win this weekend? In a golf match, you have so many matches you can, you can kind of improve on or do better on, this day or the next day. Football, you have a bad season, fired.
Wow.
You know what I mean? You got a bad season, you out of there. If you have a good season, you're the hero. So, there's a lot of pressure in football, but it's the ultimate team sport. It's 11 guys on the team, and those 11 have to work together for one common goal.
Okay.
If any of them were trying to be about their business and not the team's business, then the success of the team will be compromised.
Right.
So it's a life teaching game, just like golf.
Yeah.
But football really helps you understand how important it is about a team, how you have to be selfless, how you have to serve others.
Right. Okay.
If you don't serve others in the game of football, you ain't gonna make it.
Wow.
You will be unsuccessful. Thankfully, in golf, it's you in that ball. In football, oh Lord.
One of the things that I noticed even in your family dynamics with the football, you have to have an incredible mother.
Yes. Yes.
I mean.
Yes.
Huh?
Very supportive. Have to be.
And it almost like she actually kept the house together as your dad was doing the football.
Oh my goodness.
Huh?
Rock of the home. Heart of the home. She epitomized being the heart of the home.
Wow.
She dealt with my brother with that, me with this, the little siblings. Oh my goodness. If it wasn't for my mom.
The ultimate referee.
The ultimate. She's the head coach.
She's the head coach. Whenever you look at life and family and that dynamic, then one of the other things I learned whenever I had an opportunity to be with you all down at Myrtle Beach. You remember we drove down in an RV and we were living in an RV and you all lived in this big place. And I never experienced somebody living on vacation together and enjoying it. And y'all did that all the time.
Yes, we did.
It was sort of like your life was the life that in the football, but it didn't negate the life that you all live together.
That's right. It never interfered at the end of the day. My father could have allowed it to interfere. My mom could have allowed it to interfere, but they wanted to make sure that we stayed together, stayed whole no matter what. They're the true football players. I know my dad coaches, but
Right.
they're the true football players who serve because they wanted to serve their family. My dad would get off of work and he would run home to see us.
Mm.
You know, a lot of coaches in the business, they're not running home to their families.
Wow.
They're running home to the bars and the women and a whole lot of other stuff. Maybe the golf course a lot.
Yeah.
But my dad, he made sure that his priority was his family first.
Good.
God, family, then career.
One of the things that in the conversation that we had one time, that one of the things that I think he emphasized, you can play sports, but also have a secondary.
Yes.
Right.
For sure.
Because if you ever get hurt,
they would.
So the then what had to be a part of your whole development.
That's right. That's right.
So what was your development as for football and the other?
So mine was I'm a choir boy. So I was in the choir and loved the choir. That was my second home. So
okay,
that actually, just being grown up in the choir gave me a loving for music. So
you sing, you play, what?
I sing.
Okay.
I sing. I wish I played. If I could go back in time, get on that. I can still do it today. I don't know why I'm saying go back in time.
Okay.
I would love to play the piano or something, but I'm a singer. That's my instrument.
Your brother plays. Does he play?
So my brother was he was in the band. I was on the football team, and he was in the band.
Okay.
So he was a drummer. He did the saxophone. He played a few different instruments. So
okay.
Yeah, he's also acting and directing now. So he's in Greensboro and doing an amazing job over there with directing.
And you all normally spend some time in the summers that you sort of gather family together so you can learn family.
That is correct. That is correct.
So the heartbeat of your life is family.
100%. 110%. Love being able to get together with the whole family because there's so many different ideologies. It's not just football. It's my brother with acting. It's me with coaching. My little sister, she wants to be an interior designer one day. So it's a whole lot of different, mindsets, which is a blessing, and it just helps us all out at the end of the day.
So with all of the, I'm gonna go there with this. With all of the activities and the Super Bowls, how do you deal with that?
Wow. Yeah. So
just be there with Dad. Understand.
Really, just looking up. I'll be honest.
Good.
Just looking straight up, like, wow, you said this was gonna happen, and it happened.
Shocked.
Everything else is just okay. Yeah, because like you said earlier, my father he spoke his Super Bowl rings into existence.
Yeah, he did.
God told him about what he was going to be able to do, and they were able to accomplish it. So when he said it and it was happening, it was just kind of like, okay, God. All right.
Yeah, because I knew when he was in transition with Coach Kaufman.
Yes,
he called us and we were praying about it.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we was praying about it, and Mildred had a vision and saw in a vision that it was a packet that it was going to be offered him.
Oh my goodness gracious alive!
And we took and we prayed for that, and
that's something else, because it was the bad guy on the other team. We were with the Giants.
Yeah.
The bad guys were the Eagles. Coach Andy Reid with the Eagles.
Okay.
So a bad rivalry in football. The Giants and the Eagles. They used to beat us a lot. We would beat them sometimes, but Coach Andy Reid was the man that ended up hiring them with the Chiefs.
Oh, okay. That's how it ended up.
So he is very funny, very intentional.
The coach.
Yes.
Okay. So in your coaching, you're not going to do any playing.
No playing. Those playing days are over. Can't do it. And you're talking about playing around or like actually playing?
Yeah, playing. I mean, in coaching, you have to teach the moves.
Correct.
But as far as playing the game, no more playing the game, but making sure that you influence others to be all they can be.
That's right. Pushing them to their limit.
So it's mission, men, self. That concept sound familiar? In other words, the mission, we're going to win the game. Yes. Men, we got to take care of the people. Mission, men, and self. And I do it with selfless service.
Yes, sir.
That's military.
I love that.
That's really mission. Matter of fact, what people don't realize that leadership and love is the same principle. You can't teach and coach people if you don't love them.
You got that right.
Because you love them and you want them to do the best.
Right.
Not only do you love them that you want them to do the best, but you want them to know you care about them.
Right.
And if they know you care about them, then they're going to be excellent in what they do.
Well, yeah, playing harder for you.
See, and that's what I experienced in the military. So, what else you want to talk about?
And if you don't mind, I know this is your podcast.
Go ahead.
I would like to kind of talk about your military experience, if possible. I would love to. I hate to switch it around like that, but
so you want to talk about my military? Well, so when I'm good at that because I did a podcast on Beyond 66, and in the book there, Beyond 66 is actually an outline of my military career. The truth of the matter is, I joined the military in New York.
Look at that.
Yeah, I went to New York and I was staying with my sister there, and I worked several jobs in New York. And I made God a promise, just like everybody else. I knew that when I made him a promise, I just wanted to get out of New York. So I ended up going into the military in 1967. And in 1967, I went to Fort Gordon, Georgia, where I had basic and advanced infantry training.
Wow.
I left there. I went to jump school in Fort Benning, Georgia, became a paratrooper. And becoming a paratrooper, the first five plane rides that I had, I jumped out for my qualifying jumps.
Wow.
So I was shocked by riding a plane, and I was also shocked by jumping out. But I left there, had 10 days of vacation, and then I ended up in Vietnam.
Oh, my goodness.
South Vietnam as a 19-year-old.
Thank you for your service.
So in that, I tell people all the time that whenever people talk about war, because they said that Vietnam was a conflict. But my analysis is, if people are dying, it's a war. So in all actuality, when we came back from Vietnam, it was as if we had to deal with issues in the war. And when I served in Vietnam, I was with 4 blacks and 4 whites. We call ourselves the Hellcats. We had each other's back, and whatever we did, whenever we left the field, we did it together. So military, I retired with 22 years in as a command sergeant major. And I can honestly say I retired in 1989, and I said to the Lord, if you will give me a place to stay, food on my table, I will give my life to make a difference. So Beyond 66 means I graduated school in 1966, and that is what I dedicated my life to, because I wanted to bring a balance to the races, to the economic differences in America, And that's what you see, the new America. The vision has been given. There was a vision that was given to George Washington by the angel of the Lord. And it told him where America would be whenever he would intervene. We're at that point. So now the vision is what we're going to end up walking back into, because you cannot negate what God has given. So I say, the vision has been given. Why do we choose between red, white, and blue? We're going to go beyond 66, and we're going to see America come together, and what we've been looking for is about to happen. And I can tell you, it's going to be. I thank you for being here with me, Devin. And I just want to say, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you.
All right.
See you on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. for a live conversation with Dr. Bobby via Zoom. We look forward to seeing you. Have a blessed day, and thank you for your attention.